and Stoudemire's 2 fouls. He'll go to the bench, and Mike D'Antoni will bring in Kurt Thomas, who missed a good part of January and early February with his injury, but now coming back. A very important part of this team after the elbow injury suffered January 14th.
And in talking to Kurt, who started his NBA career here after playing his college basketball years just 30 miles across the Texas Plains to TCU in Fort Worth, he took that sleeve off of the left elbow. He's not shooting the ball well with that sleeve on. So the last game against Houston Monday night, that's when he took it off. And he really expects to start picking his game up.
Dampier clears them out in the front row, threw it away. Has 3 early Dallas turnovers, and Avery Johnson displeased with that. This Dallas team takes care of the ball very well. Only 14 turnovers a game, 3rd in the league. Nash sees his buddy Nowitzki, backs it out. Bell stumbles, caused by a Devin Harris bump, and that's 2 on the Mavericks guard, and Jason Terry and Josh Howard get in his way before he picks up a tee from Steve Javie, and Jerry Stackhouse comes off the bench.
Stackhouse, one of just a couple people who were even in the running for 6th man of the year last year. This year, Mike Miller won it a year ago. Stackhouse very deserving last year, but this year apparently a runaway for Leandro Barbosa of the Phoenix Suns.
Nash goes around Terry and all the way. The pick and roll, how you try to stop it, how Phoenix executes it, always a key when you play the Suns, and Nash does it as well as anyone. Nowitzki 0 for 2 in the early going. Goes to the hoop. Trying to draw the foul, but the push is called instead by Phil Robinson.
Avery Johnson told us before the game that he's going to change up with 5 different looks on the defending the pick and roll. The big man, Dirk Nowitzki, just does not go there. Inexplicable defense. Tries to get it back. Dirk does on the offensive end. Instead, the 3rd best free throw shooter in the NBA this season, Dirk Nowitzki, at the line for 2.
There you see Dirk's numbers. John Barry, what's impressed you about Nowitzki's game this year? After all, he was 3rd in the MVP voting the last 2 seasons.
A lot less three-point attempts. A lot more free throw attempts. And when you can shoot 90%, get him in the paint, and that's what Avery Johnson's done. He used to launch threes time and time again. He's shooting 42%, so he's not a bad shot for him, but he's made a concentrated effort to get in the paint and get some more free throws.
The Dallas Mavericks, the #1 free throw shooting team in the NBA. They win all their close games. They're the only team that employs a full-time assistant coach as a free throw coach.
Sean Marion knocks down the 3. And the Phoenix lead is 14-8. Good shooting start for the Suns from the field. They're 6 of 9. And Avery Johnson, who loves to hang his hat on defense, will call a timeout here. We'll talk about the recipe for success that has been applied both in Phoenix and Dallas that has these teams with a combined 101 wins and just 24 losses this season. Okay, Fred's with Jamal Mashburn in the studio. The Knicks are losing as well, so Pacers might hang on to the 8th spot tonight in the East. Here in the West, the top 2 teams, Phoenix 5-6. So what do you need to be this good? How about a superstar and MVP candidate? Nash and Nowitzki, each there for each team. The supporting role guys are very good. Amari Stoudemire and Jason Terry. Intangibles, guys who fill up the stat sheet. Sean Marion, Josh Howard. And the speedsters, Barbosa and Harris, whether starters or off the bench. They can finish games. And the X-Factor guys, when Bell and Diaw play well, or when Stack and Dampier play well, these teams win basketball games, and they become very tough for opponents to match up. And that's why we've seen these 2 teams beat the playoffs the last couple of years. Diaw will draw his 2nd personal foul as he hit Dirk Nowitzki. John, I think one other thing that these teams have in common, their head coaches are fiery guys. They are energy guys. They played with that fire. Avery with many teams, including the Spurs for a title, and Mike D'Antoni, a star in Europe, playing in Italy. They bring that passion and push the buttons in this marathon of the season at the right time with their team.
But like Dirk and Steve in the battle for the MVP race, and D'Antoni and Avery Johnson are totally different coaches. D'Antoni, more laid back. He's got the driver on the court in Steve Nash, who brings such a level of professionalism that D'Antoni doesn't have to get on the guys or ride anybody. Avery Johnson, on the other hand, this is a reclamation project for so many of these players on this current Maverick roster. He has to be the enforcer, the motivator.
The rare missed free throw for Dirk. Raja Bell comes off the screen and knocks it down. John, Phoenix, a good shooting start, 7 of 10 here tonight.
You know what surprised me is the start of Devin Harris. I would have thought that Avery might have waited until Leandro Barbosa, who's now in there, would come in to match up with him. Now Stackhouse is going to have to try to stick with Leandro Barbosa, who's been on fire of late.
Stack misses the turnaround. JV, 2 years ago in the 05 playoffs, the Mavericks loved that matchup, Stackhouse against Barbosa. But Barbosa, as you see there, has evolved into such a beautiful player. 2 of the last 3 games, he's equaled his career high with 32 points.
Well, he's only averaging 23, 4 assists, 56% shooting in his last 5 games, Mike. So I don't know that they like that matchup.
One of the reasons that they started Devin Harris tonight for Dallas, as Stackhouse pulls the trigger from behind the arc, is that forces Steve Nash to guard somebody. Steve Nash was going to guard Greg Buckner, who is an offensive non-factor. You put Devin Harris out there, that puts a tremendous amount of pressure on Steve, who continually matches up against Dirk Nowitzki, and they have no answer for that.
Beautiful dive by Marion. It is 9 of 12 start for Phoenix. Mark Cuban working the officials early on. Nash has 4 assists here in the first. 6:51.
Again, Dallas switching all pick and rolls. We've seen Dirk Nowitzki matched up with Steve Nash time and time again, and you know who's going to win that battle.
Another turnover, the 4th. The Suns have made 5 straight shots. 6 different Suns have scored here in the first 7 minutes.
The way this Phoenix Sun team gets the ball to Steve Nash, who is just playing perfect basketball. You could not ask for a better start, with the exception of the 2 fouls that both Boris Diaw and Amare Stoudemire. It's going to force Avery Johnson to take another timeout.